Hello, everyone. Welcome to CEO Sister Talk, our Valentine's edition. Woo, Valentine's. Happy Valentine's Day to everybody. I hope you've had a wonderful, wonderful Valentine's. Happy Valentine's Day. Hope everyone has had a great, fabulous, wonderful day. We are the CEO Sisters of CEO Sister Society. This is our CEO Sister Talk live every Tuesday at 7 p.m. Join us. We're soon going to be turning this into a podcast and all that wonderful stuff as soon as Clarissa and I get our poop in a scoop. We have so much going on. Clarissa, hey love, there you are. She is coming on, guys. I'm so excited for this conversation tonight. Y'all know I love a little. Y'all know I love a little girl talk. Now, you know I love a little girl talk, and girls love to talk about boys. Like no matter how old we are, girls love to talk about boys. So tonight, hello Clarissa, hello love.
Hello Rebecca. Hi everybody. Good evening. Happy Valentine's Day.
Happy Valentine's. So how are you doing, business bestie? How are you doing over there?
Doing well. It is a Tuesday. We had a productive morning. It's Valentine's Day, so while love is on the brain for everyone, we still have a little business to do during the day, and the evening time is for all the rest of the stuff. So it's been a good productive day, and after this, I'm going to switch gears to the more romantic stuff.
Okay. So I'm excited about this talk tonight because you guys know I used to just specialize in love and dating and relationships. These topics are close to my heart. And I made up my mind coming into this conversation, Clarissa, that I was like, yeah, I'm just going to really keep it 100 tonight about,
I'm here for it.
About my perceptions, my mindset, when I was single and running my business, getting married, running my businesses. I just want to keep it 100 because I don't want to, paint a rosy picture like it's easy because it's not.
No. No, ma'am.
Because relationships are hard for normal, regular, everyday people who are not running businesses. Relationships are complicated and messy and
all of the things in between. Okay.
Yes. Okay. So I'm gonna lead off. Clarissa, let me ask you just a couple questions, and it'll help us to kind of like go into some topics for our audience, guys. Welcome to CEO Sister Talk, guys. So Clarissa, we were both single when we started our businesses. I know we have that in common. So let's go back to that. Okay, let's go back to that time. For anybody who's single, has started their businesses, or looking to start a business. Clarissa, if you go back to when you were single, what is something that stands out in your mind about like some of your struggles when you were single, about balancing like dating? What were some of the issues you faced? Do you have some stories that come to mind from back during that time?
Yeah, it's bringing up dating, just a whole, like, it's not a black hole. I wouldn't call it a black hole, but I can say that there is a very small pool of people who understand the lifestyle of an entrepreneur, or the lifestyle of a woman who's always on the go, who also has other life things like children and things. So dating for me was a wash. I mean, it just was like the overall thing. I'm married now, so I was single for a long period of time, but dating during the business growth periods were so hard for me because there was no understanding. Oh, it's like, hey, can you come to this thing in an hour? And it's like, oh, I've already got a client meeting scheduled. I'm so sorry. Oh, well, can you come at 11 o'clock at night? Oh, I'm sorry, I have a small child at home. Oh, I can't make that. So there was a lot of, well, you must be too busy. You're not ready for a relationship. And it's like, no, I do not want to date. I don't not want to be in a relationship. But the pool of people understand how you kind of have to get in and, schedule dates. It may sound really unromantic, but when you're running a business and you have priorities in order that seem more important today than just meeting somebody for coffee, it can kind of put a damper on things. So dating was an interesting time. I got a lot of adventures, honey. It was an adventure.
So one of the things that I thought about, Clarissa, was, no, okay, so this is where I'm going to keep it really 100, y'all.
Uh-oh.
As a single businesswoman, you know, I was divorced. So I had 3 sons. I had aging parents. And, you know, when I think back on getting my business off the ground, several businesses that I started and got off the ground, and I think back to my mindset, right? Because those businesses were successful, and there's a reason those businesses were successful. And that is because I did not make men a very high priority. Now, ladies, I know for the single ladies, especially if you've never been married, you could be like, well, Rebecca, you'd already been married, right? You already had kids. So it's easy to kind of feel like it's not a high priority when your money's on your mind. Your money's on your mind, your mind's on your money, right? Like, but guys, even when I was married,
yeah,
I've always been a very driven woman. It takes somebody very special to be married. I think, like, if I keep it 100, I think our society, it's very acceptable for men to be workaholics. It's very acceptable for men to be ambitious. It's very acceptable for men to burn the candle at both ends, to work 18-hour days when they're building something and getting something off the ground. It's very difficult to find a man who is inclined to partner with a woman and believe in her and support her. It takes a very special man to do that. And in my dating, Clarissa, I realized very quickly when I became divorced, and one of the reasons I got divorced is because my husband was not 100% supportive of me as a dreamer and as an entrepreneur. And that was like putting out my light, right? Like killing me softly. Like it. And so when I became single and I started dating guys, it was like, I definitely can't do that again, right? Like, I've got to be with someone who really, really understands this drive, this grind, this like incessant, nonstop death push that is organic inside of me. It's not that I'm trying to be anything. It's that this is part of who I am.
What society makes it sexy for men to, like you said, burning the candle at both ends. It's sexy. Where's your man? Girl, he's at work. Girl, he working. He's getting that money. Honey, he out there grinding. It's like, oh, that's a badge of honor for men. But for women, it's like, oh, well, when are you putting time aside for family? When are you cooking dinner? When are you doing this? Well, that is not a concern when it's Jim Bob over here grinding and making dollars. But you always working. Always, let me guess, you're busy. And it's like, if I'm a guy, that means I'm making money. That means I'm being successful. I'm coming and I'm going at the same time I'm busy. But with women, it's frowned upon. It's actually frowned upon. Yeah.
And then what we do as female CEOs, guys, we'll try to overcompensate. So you're trying to be super mom, super girlfriend, super businesswoman, super CEO, you don't give yourself slack because society doesn't really give us slack. So guess what? When I was single, guys, I opted out. I mean, I really did opt out. My brain, you know, the scientific, nerdy part of my brain is analyzing these situations and saying, it's going to take somebody really special.
Yep.
So I'm pretty much like, not like, if I go out here just dating and meeting people, it's going to probably take a while for me to meet somebody that's really super special that is going to really be a fit for me. So I just deprioritized men and dating. It's like it began just over time taking a back seat to business development, to marketing, to my kids, to my aging parents, to the point where, Clarissa, literally, I could work like 2 weeks straight and be going hard. And I'm just trying to take care of my kids, keep our head above water and get these businesses off the ground. And I look up and I'm like, dang, I really need a break. Like
in a month, in a whole month.
Yeah. And you're like, oh, Craig, where's Craig? like you pick up the phone like, dang, I could use a drink. I could use some like just some R&R and chilling right now. What's Craig up to? Craig, you want to go get some drinks and get some wings? The game's about to come on. Let's go hang out. And so what happened with me, guys, is I developed, it's like kind of like for fellas, is like they would just get in where they fit in. And so it was either men that wanted to be very casual, who were not really looking for anything serious either, or the men that did come along and try to pursue began to really realize that I was, really driven. I really meant it, because I think sometimes men don't believe us.
Or they try to sabotage when they see you doing things. Like, I can recount a number of times where really big opportunities came about. If I was feeling somebody and they were feeling me and we were figuring out the time, they would do things to sabotage. Like, I will never forget, there was a time I was getting ready to go to one of the Falcons. They had just had like a championship game, and he invited me out to his house for a pool party. The guy I was dating, casually, I thought it was, not casual, but turns out that it was super casual. Dating this guy, he was not worried about what I was doing at all. And I'm like, oh, well, yeah, I'm just checking in. I'm getting ready to head to this party. And he was like, oh, whose party? And I told him the Falcons player's name, and he was like, well, I got something for us to do tonight. I got something to do. And I'm like, literally, we've been talking all day. You didn't tell me anything. It's 7 o'clock at night. I'm going to the thing. And he's like, no, seriously, I planned this big surprise, and I really want you. And I'm like, okay. So I fell for it the first time. Honey, he pulled that stunt every chance he could when there was a really big opportunity that was a threat to even the casual thing we had going. So if you don't find people that know how to get in where they fit in, they want to be casual. You find people who kind of act like they want to commit, but they sabotage when you're doing things that are possibly going to take you away from them or help you elevate past even the level that they're on.
And that brings up a point too, Clarissa. I encountered a lot of competitiveness.
Yep.
If you're not careful and you don't really flow in your femininity, ladies, as a female CEO, you can I learned to stop oversharing.
Yeah.
I learned that, everybody I met didn't need to know the details of how much money I made or had made, or how successful my businesses were, or how successful my businesses weren't. I learned to do a lot more talking and questioning. I learned to ask a lot more questions, and that's how I ended up becoming a dating expert, because I was like, I would date and I would just ask men a million questions, and I learned that men loved to have women ask them questions. They love for a woman to truly be interested in what they're doing, what their dreams are, how they feel, where they're at. And I learned, guys, I became really great at dating because I put the focus on them, and they liked that.
So did you ever, what would you do in the times where you were on a date that you wanted to go on, but then were you dating like looking at your watch like, this is a terrible waste of an hour, or were you just dedicating the time to the time?
So here's my thing. Anybody who's followed me for any amount of time, I'm a pretty nerd. I'm a nerd. So I just happen to be pretty, right? Like, easy on the eyes. But I'm a nerd. I have a science degree, right? So like, I like nerdy men. Like, I like businessmen. So Clarissa, just like I'm strategic about most things in my life, I was very strategic about dating too. I would not even go on a date with someone that, unless I had like 1 or 2 or 3 conversations on the phone and it just flowed. And I tended to pick businessmen. I tended to pick people who had a lot in common with me. So I really enjoyed those conversations. And I would literally, guys, I would go out on dates with these guys. We could talk for 2 hours, 3 hours, because we had so much in common. And so I just would only go out with people I really enjoyed the conversation. That was just one of my strategies about dating. It made my dating life so much fun. I also loved talking to businessmen. It's one of the reasons how I became a business beast. I'm sitting here picking their brains, guys. Like, I would meet some very successful businessmen. International business, marketing, you name it. And I'm like, oh, tell me more, right? Like, what else?
Yeah.
Oh, what else are you about to do in your business?
Yeah.
How's that working out for you? And so it was just like, I had a lot of fun dating because I met incredible people that I had, you know, so much in common with. Now, that doesn't mean it equated to love, right? It wasn't love matches, but it was definitely really great to meet smart, because I am such a sapiosexual. You know, if I can have a really intellectual, amazing conversation with someone, like, oh, I'm digging you, you know, like I really am digging you. And so for me, dating wasn't hard because guess what? All of those men were not drop dead gorgeous, right? Keeping it at 100, you know, when you know who you are, you know what you like. You know, I was picking men, Clarissa, that I enjoyed their energy, I enjoyed their mind, I enjoyed their company, I enjoyed the conversation, you know, and you know, varying degrees of different. If you lined up the guys I met, you guys would be like, whoa, Rebecca is like bipolar. These men are like all over the place as far as height and, you know, size and looks, dark skin, light skin, you know, all over the place.
So was there ever a point in your business or in your career as a professional woman that you realized that the dating pool needed to change? The people who you used to talk to, now you need to change those people. And if you did notice it, what did you do to change the environment?
So I would say as I came into my early 30s and I was maturing as a woman, I began to really know and make note of what really did it for me, Clarissa, what was really important to me. What was it about the men I had fallen in love with prior? What made me fall in love with them? And I began to drill that down to be able to get very crystal clear about that. It's always been a sense of humor. I think one of the things as CEO women that we underestimate, we are under constant pressure.
Yeah.
We work really, really hard. We're stressed. You got staff, you got people depending on you for their money. You got to keep these businesses afloat. And in our downtime, we don't want to be stressed out.
No. Nope.
We don't need added stress, added distractions, added drama. I don't want to sit and have heavy he can't be too naggy, he can't be needy, and he can't be dramatic. I need somebody steady, not moody, because I'm a sensitive energy, sensitive spirit. I'm going to be sensitive to their energy. So like, you have to learn to get to know you, but I think there are some commonalities for female CEOs of recognizing we need strong, stable, fun men.
Yep.
Fun.
Yep. Yeah.
Fun.
The assignment. I know for myself, my dating, and I'm a smart person. I'm a really smart person, but I wasn't always dating strategically. I was just dating who I liked or who was cute and things like that. Not until
who is sexy.
Yeah. Girl.
Yeah, so whoever was sexy.
Yes, exactly. And it's like, okay, wait. This stuff isn't working. These people are aesthetically pleasing, but why is it not working? The intellect was there. Some of the people were really smart, and some of the people, 10 minutes into the date, I'm like, you know what, we'd be better friends, because I don't think we're going to have a romantic chemistry, but you got a lot of stuff that I'm vibing with, but I don't want to give you a kiss. Like, I do not want to kiss you.
Right. I doesn't pass the kiss test.
Yeah. It's like, nope. Okay, but we can be friends and we can talk for 5 hours, but we're just not going to be past this moment. But for myself,
I fell in love with an ugly guy, though.
You did? Oh, well, how did that work? Elaborate.
Listen, ladies, I'm telling you, God has made us to where we can fall in love with what we smell and what we hear.
Yeah, true.
Women, we are built different than men. He smelled amazing. He dressed his ass off. He was so smart, charming. He just wasn't like super, super cute, but he made up for it in every other way. I mean, every other way. I mean, oh, goodness. Okay, anyway, let's talk about something else.
Look, before Mr. Pope come in there and have a couple of questions, okay? So I think for myself, I started to realize that even when my dating life, things bleed over. you know, if my dating life was going really well or I wasn't distracted by it, business was doing well. But if I'm having like struggles and issues in relationships, something always suffers in my business. And it's I noticed a pattern with myself, and I'm on these highs and lows personally, and you're not purposely taking that stuff back to your business, but you do. You come in and your staff is like, is everything okay? And you're like, yeah, and it's not, and it affects things. So for myself, I knew I needed to take some time. I took 1 year after the last like relationship with the guy who kept sabotaging stuff. I thought I was going to take a year. It ended up being 9 months, but I took some time to really distinguish, you know, between the things that I thought I liked about people and the things that I really needed. Like you said, you need a person who's stable. You need someone who's fun. We are in very high stress situations sometimes. Running a business by itself is literally like the equivalent to having 5 and 6 jobs at a time. So if you're with somebody who's a drag, it's like, I get off of that at 6 o'clock and I'm coming in this, okay, nope, that ain't gonna work. Oh, but you get with somebody who's, you know, not serious enough. You're like, okay, this is cool, but darn, you're never serious enough. You have to have that person who's balanced and they understand you. They understand business. They understand that their time with you should be used for really valuable things. Let's have fun. Let me take you away from the stuff that you're doing through work every day, and let me change your life in ways that you possibly can't do for yourself. Like you can take yourself out to dinner, but when you get with somebody who understands the assignment, you've done the single dates, the solo dates, and all that good stuff.
Listen, you know? So when you get really comfortable in your own skin, guys, and you realize it's not worth being around just anybody. You don't want to share time with just anybody. The downtime you have is so precious as a businesswoman, as a businessman. Shoot, men too. Your downtime is so precious. You don't want to waste it with bad energy, bad vibes, negativity, complaining. Oh, you didn't answer. This is me. You didn't answer my text earlier. Oh, you didn't call me back right away. Oh, you didn't.
Bye.
No, this ain't gonna work.
Yep.
This ain't gonna work. Like, if you don't hear from me, I'm busy. Like I will return your call and your text. I'm not ignoring you. It's just that I am in the middle of something that needs my attention and my time, and I'm gonna get back to you. When I met Carey, one of the things that stood out was that he was so fun-loving. His natural energy, spirit, vibe is so fun-loving. You know, Carey would come take me out on an ice cream date.
Yep.
We can go walk in the park. We're not at, you know, we don't have to go to 5-star dinner every week and drinking champagne and eating lobster tails. We're like going and getting coffee and ice cream and sitting in the car talking and laughing. And it wasn't complicated.
Yeah. And it was a compliment to the end of your day or to the week. It's just like, oh, okay, leave you something to think about tomorrow for the next time. Those are refreshing things you need when you are high functioning and working and trying to date, literally trying to.
And we need peace. Peace. Yep. Peace is priceless. You know, drama kings, because you know, men love to talk about women being dramatic, drama queens. No, there are men that are that way too, that are sensitive. They're going to go off the handle about the slightest thing, right? Listen, it is so crucial to understand that our peace of mind is priceless. As a leader, as a businesswoman, your peace of mind. You can't create without peace. You can't execute without peace. You can't make great business decisions without peace. And I tell people all the time, that's what I married when I married Carey. I started dating him, Clarissa, and I would fall asleep around him. Like the first 3 weeks I dated Carey, I would just fall asleep all the time. I was so tired, and he was so peaceful. Yeah. Because I was just working so hard, and I would get around him, and his spirit and his energy was just so calm and cool and peaceful. Girl, I would be in the car. We'd be driving back from having I'm asleep in the car. He just got used to me falling asleep on him all the time.
Yeah, and the comfort that you get when somebody like gets up under you with that support, for me, that's the biggest thing that I realized I was missing. Aside from all of the surface things that we think we want in a relationship, what I truly, honest to God, really wanted was support. Period. Like support, not just and all the types of support. Sometimes the support has been financial. Sometimes the support has been emotional. Sometimes the support has been just showing up with some flowers at the office and you didn't know it was a crazy day, and it was. Now, I'm not about the financial thing. I'm not saying leaning on people for money. With that, I just mean that somebody who isn't leaning on you for stuff, because this is a day and age where, look, it's different out here. It's different out here. And
You know, that's the other thing, ladies.
yeah,
Be careful about talking about your business and money, because there's scammers,
yes,
gold digging men out here who will be trying to get you the bag.
yes.
He's trying to secure the bag
Are the meals
with you.
for him? Yes, yes. So that's
That
what I
part.
meant by part, ladies. It's the they have their own financial stability where they're not worried about what you have going on or constantly in your pockets and stuff. So for me, it was support. I thought all these different things are the things I wanted, and those things were nice compliments, but the real thing I wanted was support. Somebody who understood that when you get off of a 5 conference call day or been on site with a client all day, that you do not need to come home to anybody asking 1,000 questions. What's for dinner? Oh, can you help me with this? Can you do that? Now, I'm not saying when you get into a relationship, because we're going to talk about that next. What happens when you get married and you've already been running this business as a single woman? But there's just some value in people understanding and not adding on top of the stuff that you already have going on. Big, 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 big.
What I've said for a long time, Clarissa, is that our businesses are our babies, right? It's like our love affair, like real talk.
Yeah.
And so someone who comes along and feels like they have to compete with that, that's going to be the wrong energy right off the bat.
Yep.
Because my businesses are my dreams.
Yep.
So you've got to co-partner with that, right? You got to be on board with that.
Like I am with your stuff, because if you're a successful person, I understand I have to be reciprocal with that for you too. I'm not going to bring all my mess to you after you've just got off this flight from London and had a terrible meeting. Like, so it goes both ways. We're not even being selfish with this. It's a reciprocal.
It's mutual. You have to, we give as good as we get.
Yeah.
Like real talk, there's a bunch, we know the type of women we are. But here, the other thing is this, and I'm going to say this. You definitely can't afford to date or marry someone who is slick about the mouth. What do I mean by slick about the mouth? I met a guy one time I was dating, and he had this way of throwing shade, or kind of like trying to put me down, almost like he was trying to put me in my place or try to get an upper hand on me. And I peeped it really fast. And he was very good looking. He had his own stuff going on. I'm not, I'm no shade on him at all. He had his own things going on. But whatever it was in him, I triggered insecurities in him. And I'll never forget it. How sometimes somebody can be like really a great person and like 75% of it is like really good, but there's like this 25% where there's something there that they mix in some bitter with the sweet, and it has a way of undermining like your confidence as a woman, your self-esteem as a woman. And I realized, like, I was dating him for several months, and I finally started catching on, like, you're not healthy.
Yep.
You're competing with me. You're jealous. There's something going on here, because you're always trying to take me down a notch. You're always trying to, like, you got to try to keep me humble.
Mm-hmm.
Like you feeling yourself too much. I worked my ass off to get here. Like, who are you to? And I am not an arrogant person by any stretch of the imagination. I think sometimes people can mistake confidence for arrogance. And he had to go. Yes, Glam Lux style. He had one too. Get rid of him fast. I made the mistake of dating him for a little while, and he became that cautionary tale. Like, I looked out for that going forward. There can't be any kind of sly, slick, like, you ain't all that. Say that again, Clarissa.
Give an example of the sly remarks.
I mean, well, remember when you told me you went bankrupt?
Oh my God,
7
girl.
years ago. So, you may want to be careful. Well, I would have never told you that if you were going to try to throw it in my face after a divorce when I lost everything for how you try.
They use it as ammunition. Things that you gave them, they use it as ammunition against you. Bad, red flag, red flag. And
red flags. And it's like, okay, wait a minute. So I'm making hundreds of thousands, over here. You can't respect that and what it's taken, the business savviness to do this. You're going to use any little thing you can to kind of throw shade or drop little stuff in that sows doubt.
No, I can't trust you. And I can't trust you with information now. Because if you use my life or my things that I told you in confidence while being vulnerable, and are you going to tell me about my bankrupt time? Or are you going to tell me about the time I only had $12 and was on a private jet? Oh, okay. You're going to tell me about that? No. You're getting put in the box. You're getting put in the box. Yeah,
and this is the other thing. People who are not entrepreneurial definitely struggle to understand the entrepreneurial journey. Guys, it's entrepreneurs who have been homeless, who've gotten evicted, who have bankruptcies, who have bad credit until they get their money and the money's up and they fix their credit. They renting when you think they should be owning. The CEO entrepreneurial journey, guys, it takes a dreamer to understand a dreamer, and it also takes an entrepreneur to understand an entrepreneur, because we will make sacrifices that the average person would be like, and here's the other thing. You can't, it's like apples and oranges. You can't compare yourself to other people. I'll never forget, like in my early 30s, building my construction company. At this point is where I'm divorced now, have been married for 10 years. My friends are married. They're buying rental properties. They're investing more. They're doing all this stuff. And I'm at a point where I feel like I'm at a low because I've taken this loss, right? I got out of this marriage, lost all my rental property and everything I'd done to build up to that point in a divorce. But you feel like you're behind. There's this feeling sometimes that you're not where you're supposed to be because other people who maybe had jobs and paychecks have been able to build faster or get to somewhere where you want to be. And then what I learned is there's this point, guys, where your success starts to kick in. And then it's like, and you can now, you're doing things with money and traveling and doing things that they can't afford now. Like, and it's easy to kind of, when you're dating, feel like you might be behind a little bit, or if you've taken some losses, your average person isn't going to understand that.
Right.
They can be judgmental, like real talk.
Yeah, and entrepreneurship, and that's why it's so important to have a network of people. And on this call, we're talking about like romantic relationships now, but somebody in the comments said this applies to families too. It does. People around you, that's why your network has to include people who understand your journey, because if I heard one of my entrepreneurial friends say they went bankrupt, I would not be like, what you gonna do, girl? I'm like, okay, what's the plan? What's the plan? Okay, so how's the pivot up? I know for a fact, as an entrepreneur myself, in the same week, I have had $2 in a bank account, and then 3 days later, $27,000 just come out of nowhere. It's like, oh, okay, entrepreneurs, we are, I don't like this word anymore. I'm trying to figure out a sophisticated way to say this, but we know how to hustle. I know how to get to some money. I know how to get some money. So if I'm down today, don't cry for me, because I know how to get the bag. I've done it and I will do it again. So entrepreneurial mindset is different, but the people that you are in relationships with, friends, family, siblings, all those people, they like to remind you where you came from sometimes. And they remind you, well, remember you only had $50. Okay, so what are we talking about? Okay, so and thanks too. So it's jealousy. I hate for it to even be that, because sometimes you try to ask yourself, well, maybe they really are wanting me to just be careful. But if they say it 5 times, it's like you have a list of things, zingers waiting for me, don't you? Because you didn't say this. I mean,
you said a list of zingers. Just on to them, like ready.
red flag. So no, girl, that's you. Yeah, that's nothing. But those comments coming from the person that you're supposed to be romantic with, turn off. Big turn off.
Next, next. So the other thing when it comes to balancing love and business, guys, is I think that you have to realize you're special. And I know I talk about this every time we come on. I always talk about how special we are. And we're different because we are different. Yeah. We are unique. You know, entrepreneurs are a different breed, and it's a small percentage of the population. So everyone's not going to get it. And so when you look at business women, we have to be very, very selective. We have to be very careful. It's not always about just who likes you.
Mm-hmm. Who's good? Not one to look for.
Right, because I could have been married a lot sooner before Carrie, right? Like I could have been married. I had several, people I dated seriously in the 9 years that I was single after my divorce. But I remember getting to know them better. And ladies, as you get to know yourself better, you'll get to know what's a fit for you, what's not a fit for you. Yep. And some of the men that were really serious about me, I began to realize this: if you are especially a compassionate or big-hearted person, ladies, you can get in relationships where it requires too much of you. And if you're not with a partner who is just as much of a giver as you are, your business will suffer, you will suffer. If somebody doesn't help you to be a better businesswoman, a better entrepreneur, if they're not helping, they're taking away. Yep. There's no such thing as just static. There's no such thing as just plain shift, no change. You're either helping or you're hindering.
Fact.
And a couple of the guys that I, potentially could have married, there were 2 relationships I had that were very serious. And I just realized, like, this, if I married you, I would be back in another situation where I'm not being able to operate at my best, but I would be giving you everything I've got to give, right? But at my own detriment.
That's right.
So you would be able to power up on everything I'm providing in the relationship, but you're getting the majority of the benefit in the relationship. And if you're a big-hearted, like very heart-centered woman, giving woman, nurturing woman, that is a very fine line that you're going to have to be careful.
For myself, like I told you, I took the time off from dating. I was tired of running into the same walls, and then I realized, girl, I'm probably the problem. Because even though I may not be the one who did the offensive act that we're not talking anymore, something I keep putting out keeps bringing back the same energy. So I need to sit down and just wipe the slate clean for myself. So the person that I married now, the person who I'm married to now, he did a number of things during our dating phase, and we were long distance daters. So for me, entrepreneurship didn't really change immediately when I started seriously dating somebody, but because I was still living here in Atlanta with my son, my day-to-day life was really regular. But I will never forget one day, and this never happened to me ever before. And I've been in business for 17 years. I was really stressed. We were bringing a very high-level talent to Atlanta for a panel discussion. Huge billion-dollar person. Well, he raised how much the speaker fee was at the last minute. Now, we done sold out this 300-seat theater. All these people are expecting him, and he raised the money. And I was the one who was in charge of curating talent. So now I'm like, oh my God, where's this extra money gonna come from? Like, where's the extra money? I was just brainstorming out loud, and the person that I was dating, who's now my husband, he said, well, I'll give you the money. And I'm just talking to him like, oh my God, this is crazy. I got 24 hours to figure this out. And he was just like, okay, I'll give you the money. And I'm like, oh, well, no, thank you. But that was really kind of you to act like, wow, nobody had ever interjected themselves into the struggle part of my entrepreneurship. So for me, I was like, dang, somebody who was an entrepreneur but hadn't really done the tens of $1,000 like deals and contract negotiations, he offered. his hard-earned money for me to get out of a pickle. Now, I ended up figuring it out without having to use him as a resource, but that was a thing for me. I was like,
Oh
wow.
my God, yeah.
So that type of stuff, those are the things where you start realizing, okay, now this is the quality that I'm talking about. Somebody else may have said, what are you going to do? Oh man, we're going to have to cancel it. Oh man, well, how are you going to tell your business partners? I can't cancel. It's my reputation on the line. And this man offered me his money and was going to send it to me in 5 minutes. So for me, it was things like that I started to notice about, oh, well, other people I've dated never even asked if I was hungry and needed a lunch being on these. You got to pay attention, y'all. Pay attention.
So I'll never forget, I met this guy. We were dating for a while. It wasn't a fit, but we remained cool. And I was dating someone else, and I was banking with like Wells Fargo, and I did a lot of international, right? Definitely, organically. Shanae says a keeper. So that's why she married him, right? Because he really showed up for her.
Up everywhere.
What you just shared made me think about this story, Clarissa, where I was dating somebody new, and Wells Fargo freezed my accounts. I did international business. So I had all of these millions of dollars coming in international wires. And they just, like, without notice, froze my accounts. I go into the bank. They said, we've got these changes in protocols. We just need to make sure, da, 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 da. They were going to hold my money for 30 days.
All of it?
All my money was in the business accounts. I didn't have any money. Guys, now I'm diversified. I have like 8 bank accounts, guys, now. Okay? Different places, because I ain't going to have all my anything just sitting somewhere, because that's too much power for one bank. They make up their mind to do something. You just asked out. I mean, I've been there. I literally called the guy I was dating because, I'm talking about all of my money, not a dime.
Gas money.
Food, rent, right, to pay for my condo. Like, I needed money, living money. And I went to the guy I was dating, and he was like, well, what are you going to do? I never ask anybody for anything, Clarissa.
Oh, I know you.
I'm that chick who doesn't ask anybody for anything. Like, if I'm coming to you, that is like, I'm thinking I can trust you.
Yes.
I'm thinking you're going to be there for me, right? That you know me and my integrity, you know my earning, you know, he was like, well, what are you going to do? I mean, because, you know, I can't help. I don't know what you're going to do. Oh, okay. I called the guy that I was dating before him, who I was still cool with. I told him that he's a businessman. I told him the situation. I showed him the letter from the bank that's saying when these funds are going to be released. In 5 minutes, in a phone call, he says, come down here. I'll give you $10,000. Just pay me back when the money releases.
That's it. Period.
I drove down, met him. He hands me $10,000. I go I'm taking care of my business. My money got released like only 3 days later. They didn't hold it as long. And I immediately sent him his money back. And the dude I was dating.
Don't ever call me again. We have nothing.
Because this is the thing, Clarissa. The guy I was dating had it. He had money. He just didn't want to help me. And I'm like, so literally don't ignore the situations that God allows to come up for you to be able to see exactly who people are. I'll never forget, I was dating a guy that, this is like, I don't play. This is how I got to the point where I was just a savage. I was dating this guy, and we're on a phone call. We're talking on the phone, and I said, yeah, I'm watching this movie, and this like lady went to jail. I said, man, if I ever went to jail, would you bail me out? He was like, no. Like, you would be okay. You'll get out of there. I'm sure it wouldn't be for anything big. Or you would just, I'm not going to pay money for you to get out of there. I was like, all right.
Okay.
Girl, we were done. He didn't know it. But from that point on, I was like, I think I just have this really big thing about loyalty. because I'm such a loyal person. And it's like, you wouldn't, what? Like, I have bailed out my best friends, you know what I mean, over like an unpaid speeding
Yeah.
ticket. Because, you know, in Georgia, you go
Yeah.
to jail over an unpaid speeding ticket. They'll put a warrant out. I have gone and gotten my friends out of jail. You mean you're dating me and you wouldn't get me out of jail?
Honey, bye.
Oh,
Thank you for the information. Thank you. Thank you for the
next.
information. Next. Yeah. Okay, so now that because we have 15 minutes left on our live. So
Okay, 50 minutes.
tell me about when you married Mr. Kerry Pope.
Yes.
What are the things that changed? Because just like in anything that you're changing and doing, there are growing pains with it. Did you have to modify your behaviors as a newly married woman, even though you had been married before, you have children, so we know you know how to run a house, we know you know how to take care of people, but what are some of the changes you had to make as a married woman running a big business already?
So one of the things that happened, and guys, this is like special in my life. Guys, I had been running and gunning for years by the time I met Kerry. When I met Kerry and married him like 14 months, 16 months later, I moved into his house. And when I moved into Kerry's house, he paid all the bills. I had never been in a situation where someone paid all the bills.
Right.
I literally took 6 months of that my first year of marriage, the first 6 months I was married to Kerry, guys, and I took a break. It was the most amazing 6 months.
Yeah.
I supported him and his projects and everything. I was still managing, you know, some of my stuff and doing stuff, but it was like I just breathed for a minute. And I really believe as businesswomen, we need partners who are able to take pressure off of us.
Yep.
And I, you know, after 6 months, I hit the ground running again and went right back to being, you know, businesswoman. But I just remember that, and it was so wonderful for me. And in all of the changes in our relationship, I would say, Kerry and I have gone back and forth a lot with financial. I haven't really known how to rely on a man financially, Clarissa. That's been a major struggle in my marriage. Even though I have incredible like uncles that exemplified that, really strong, hardworking men, my dad wasn't that with my mom. And so my role models in this area were not good.
Yeah.
And so, but eventually we landed at a spot now where Kerry pays all the bills.
Your face, everything. Yep. Okay. Yep.
Y'all know I keep it 100. Okay. Kerry pays all the bills. And in my partnership, I just told him, I'm like, this is amazing. Like, I like it over here a lot.
Yeah.
Like,
yep.
Sky is a big get. But I'll say this, getting to the place where I'm okay with that and I'm not uncomfortable. Yeah. I'm trying to dissect like all of the layers of that, right? If you haven't known what that looks like or feels like, or you don't know how to navigate that, it's taken a lot of therapy. It's taken a lot of personal healing work to get to a place in our marriage where I even trusted him to do that, if that makes sense, guys. I think
back up in your,
what'd you say?
It's not going to get thrown back up in your face. That trust factor is because if you take care of me and you get mad at me, are you going to say, what are you going to say? What are you going to do with that information? So the trust thing has to be there.
And that, I'll say for me, when I really peeled back a lot of layers through a lot of healing work, what I discovered is that I didn't know how to have that with a man because I didn't know if he loved me enough. So even being able to allow it to get to that point in your partnership and relationship. And now, but I mean, and it's like this great partnership because I make large sums of money and he makes great money that pays the day-to-day bills. And so, but in our partnership, there's a lot, we're stacking money with my money, saving money and investing money, and his money's paying the day-to-day so that my money can stack
Yep.
and get invested.
Yep.
But I would say as the personality types that we as women CEOs tend to have, it's very difficult for us to know how to rely on a man like that, especially if you've been a single mother or a very independent woman, learning, and guys, getting to that place where I'm in that place in my marriage, like I say, is it really speaks to the level of healing in my marriage.
Yeah.
A lot of healing from trauma and pain and issues that had a lot to do with family, parents, all kinds of stuff that you don't really realize until you start digging.
So my grandfather used to be saying, my grandfather, before my husband, and this is the wildest thing ever, I didn't even make the correlation until recently. He was the only other like stable man that I ever knew, period. And then my husband is the second most stable person I ever knew because he's the person that I'm with now. But my grandfather used to have this saying, don't ever let anyone undress you. And that was instilled in his girls. That was instilled in us. That is something that we've instilled in our children. Okay, so that's a thing. Don't let anybody undress you. And what that meant was, don't let somebody do so much for you that they can rip the rug from under you. And everything that you have, you think you have, now they didn't come and took everything out your house and took the shoes off your feet, literally. So my husband, we had this conversation yesterday. It was about the struggle with accepting help and not looking at it as a foreign thing. Like, okay, no, for me, I don't ask for help either. I could be on the, it never dawns on me to open my mouth and ask somebody for something. And my husband was like, well, why? Like, why don't you do that? So to me, I think I'm being a strong, don't let nobody undress me person. But to my husband, that's sending a signal that I might not need you, or you may not. And that's literally what I'm not saying that at all. I want the support. But that thing that sits in the back of my head is a thing. And it was a wonderful tool, and it is something that I do still believe, but I think you have to put that where it belongs after a certain point. My husband, and if you have proven that this is a safe space and you can care for me, like my husband had to save me look, now we're in this thing. So it's just like, look, honey, things got tight last month. I need something. And it's like, now it's more normal. It still feels kind of foreign. And sometimes because same for him. He didn't have anybody who was this type of support either. So now we kind of do this weird like side eye thing in the hallway passing sometimes, like, is this real? It's like, okay, it's totally real. We almost 5 years in, so this is still a thing, but healing is so necessary. So when you come to a place I grew all this big stuff by myself, you do have to know how to kind of bring it down, like you said, to trust Carrie, to do those things. I have to know that you love me enough. I have to know that I can trust you, and that I'm not going to be out on Skid Row if you decide today that you don't like me no more. So yeah, that's a thing.
And and Clarissa, that's one of the things I'll add. I believe that women should have their own money.
Yeah.
Please understand what I'm saying. This doesn't mean I'm broke and I'm not sitting on money. It means I'm sitting on money, and in our partnership, right, we're able to build in a different way. But I do not ever believe that women should be in a situation where now you can be financially abused by a man because he holds the reins to all the money. So our partnership, I'm making money, he's making money, and together we're prospering, together we're wealthy, together we're building with common goals towards the things that we really want. How can you trust your husband with his financial obligations? It's hard for me to trust what he says sometimes. So one of the things I began to do, Rainbows 3898, is I prayed. It's like, God, now he wants to do this. I want him to do this. He is doing this. So guess what? Guys, the mortgage comes due. And it was like, our mortgage is not cheap. And when he first started taking over the bills, I would be kind of like, the first is coming.
Yeah.
And do I say anything? Do I offer to help? And I made myself sit still. I shut my mouth and I said, that's a whole grown ass man, Rebecca. And if if something's going on and he needs help, he's going to tell me. But if he don't, he got it.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't say nothing. You don't say nothing, won't be nothing. Then bills got paid. I didn't ask no questions.
Right. Right.
And it was literally like, it's building trust.
Yeah.
No, I do not remind him, just Leslie. My husband is grown. And when I tell you he's like the detail-oriented partner in our relationship, he was the one who always paid the bills anyway. Even if it was me contributing money, he was always the one actually paying the bills because he's very, very organized and on top of things. That's not me.
Yeah.
So, you know, I just, yes, I would lean into my feminine. I had to lean into my feminine, just Leslie. And I had to trust Carrie and I had to trust God. But, and believe me, that was a process, guys. That did not happen overnight. But I also had to be really honest with myself that I wanted it.
Yep. That's what you prayed for. And then it shows up and you acting weird about it. Weird about the prayer. You asked for it. You asked for a husband like that.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So it works for us, you know, and like I said, he's grown. You know, Carrie runs his own business, makes his own money, does it. That's a whole grown man. He's not a kid. You know. Somebody said he needed help, but he didn't tell me. I hate the fact that he put stuff off. I just decided we split everything down the middle, where before he paid the mortgage and I paid the utilities. So you literally, Rainbows, you're saying like he dropped the ball. Like, so he didn't ask for help. And in Rainbows, I think, you know, there is no cookie cutter answers to everything. I think that you have to know your partner. Like, I know Carrie, he's going to either make it happen or he's going to say something to me. But he ain't going to let us be late on no bills and mess up our credit. I'm just telling you right now, we got impeccable credit because Carrie's so great at paying bills on time. So no, I know my partner. I know Carrie. He's not going to let something happen without coming to me. It may be hard to tell me sometimes, hey, babe, can we move some of this money out of savings over here? Or can we do this? Or can we do that? You know, I'm going to need to do that right now. The business was slow at the holidays or whatever. But, you know, he said it. He did it because he's responsible and he's fiscally responsible. So Rainbows, you have to be able to talk to him and let him know, baby, you know, I know you got us, but when you don't, that's what I'm here for. We're partners. It starts with communication.
Yeah, there were some questions earlier. I can't scroll. I don't know if I can. There were some earlier questions, but people, we have had 2 people say we need to do a part 2. One of them was a gentleman who said we need a part 2 with some testosterone. So we may have hit a couple chords here.
Okay.
And we need a part 2. And I'm here for that because these real life experiences, again, in our CEO Sister Society, these are the things that we're talking about. These are the things that we're doing. We're passing information. I've asked Rebecca a ton of questions. I've asked other friends a ton of questions. People have asked me a ton of questions about how to pivot in this area, or how to manage this, or am I wrong, or was this crazy? Sometimes you just need a sounding board that's not yourself. That's not your one person that always is your yes person. Sometimes you need a network of people that have really been where you're going and can give you some good sound advice. Yeah. So I think we part 2 too.
Yeah, definitely. So we talked a lot about dating tonight. We got into some marriage stuff. I think that, you know, one of the things we should think about, Clarissa, is doing a course for single ladies in business who need to create strategy around dating for what type of person they need and what they really want, and being able to admit, like some of the things we've talked about tonight, that would be a really great course to offer.
I agree.
You know, about dating for single women in business, that it would be, you know, the do's and don'ts and creating a strategy and plan of what really matters and what you really need. That would be really good.
So you don't have to go through some of the mess we went through. You cut a year off of that time. Give
right.
me some tips. Yeah.
And we're both already married too. We've raised kids. You know, we have a lot of experience that we bring to the table, and it's, you know, not coming from a place of pain or even being single and, you know, still being there. It's like we've navigated being single in business. We're navigating marriage in business, you know. So I think that, you know, we should maybe talk about that and think about that as we get ready to launch CEO Sister Society, maybe launch with a course. That would be really great.
Agreed, honey. That's what I'm talking about. What happened to the daring group you talked about last year? Was there another
dating group or dating course? I've been talking about a divine dating course. That's something different, talking about like aligning dating with spiritual alignment. There's something else that I've talked about and dropped some hints about, but I haven't launched it yet because I'm still teaching Nice for What right now, guys, on my RLP side of things. So stay tuned. But anyway, Clarissa, guys, this is Clarissa Thomas. She is the CEO of Synergy PR Agency. You can reach her at her link that will be in this video once we post it. She's got PR courses. You can work with her one-on-one. She has a who's list of PR clients all over the world. Click and work with her, book a consultation. If you know you need, she's my PR agent. I'm just like,
Okay.
That's how we become business besties. So make sure you click her links, sign up, get some PR training, get a PR course. I'm Rebecca Lynn Pope, and I just do a bunch of different stuff. I don't even know what to say about all that stuff right now. But anyway, Clarissa, any last remarks?
Yeah, thank you for the endorsement. Check my link tree, y'all. I have stepped my game up so you know where to find all of my stuff. Courses. Our first course is actually starting on February 25th. So check my link tree out. And if there's a program there that fits you, honey, come on over here and get in one of these classes. CEO Sister, we are launching our membership very soon. So we're glad to have you all tuning in, because we are teaming up behind the scenes to really build a well-rounded, robust something that's going to be where we get together regularly with our group, our membership group. So that's all I have to end on.
All right, guys, blessings in abundance. Make sure you click the link if you want to be in the Rich Chick Energy course, or you want to join Nice for What, or if you need a healing spiritual shadow work healing course to go along with therapy. The Work Masterclass is 50% off with the code HEALING. The link is in my bio. All right, guys, blessings in abundance. We'll see you next week. Bye.